The ZA Tech Show is made possible by Sharp. Check out the new Sharp Interactive LED at sharpinteractive.co.za.
Hello and welcome to the ZA Tech Show, episode 2144. Someone give me a date. Monday, June the 18th, 2012. Hi, I'm Brett Haggard. Thanks for stopping by and watching our little podcast or listening to our little podcast. We were off to a bit of a shaky start there with a good couple of technical errors, but... a couple of traffic errors. Hold on. Let's get you on the mic. That was Mr. Stephen Ambrose from Strategy Works. Hello, sir.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm well. Seems to be every time I bring my MacBook Air into the studio, networks start falling over, cables stop working, all things go a bit crazy.
Well, there's a lesson in that. Bring the Big Mac.
Bring the Big Mac.
Yeah.
Ooh, I haven't had a Big Mac in ages. Extra cheese,
sauce,
pickle,
and the whole bit.
For sure. Yeah. Can I get some fries with that?
Yeah, there's one on the way home. Just
yes.
outside Vodacom.
Benedict Kelly from Ungeeked would... love some fries with that. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you. Straight out of the crime-ridden depths of Beltspredden Park.
Indeed, dude. Jeez, I tell you.
Yeah, well, he's got a little sign outside his house that says "Help yourself."
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The robbers in his hood are the only people rocking around with an LTE modem right now. But yes, sorry to hear about your loss, sir. Jeez.
Self-service thing in my house at the moment.
Oh no, it's pretty scary stuff. What all did you lose in that little incident, Mr. Kelly?
Luckily, I've been scaling back on my stuff. So all they got was a TV, a camera, and a kettle, and some other jewelry type stuff.
Okay, but you ran out of gas just shortly after that.
Oh, then they came back on the Sunday morning and decided to throw a brick through my window, but didn't realize the alarm was on, or that there was an alarm, and so they scarped it.
Man, and all they got was a kettle.
They got
and
a nice
toaster.
They got a nice LCD TV.
Oh, jeez, man.
But I also got a nice LCD TV out of it. So
okay, yeah. So
that's
all right then.
You know what,
Brett?
Right, as you said, it's not called a robbery. It's called an upgrade cycle.
Yes,
in tech, no doubt.
Indeed. You need a decent upgrade cycle every now and then. But we're not here to talk about Mr. Ben Kelly's robberies and the fact that the thieves in Beltspredden Park have faster Wi-Fi than most of us do right now, or 3G for that matter, or 4G. Actually, they're rocking around with very, very fast internet connections. We're here to speak about tech, and as you and I were saying earlier today, Mr. Ambrose, it's been a bit of a quiet one this week.
It was a quiet week, and I mean, you put us under pressure. Come to the ZA Tech Show, tell us all about the hot new geeky tech, and I go, there has been one interesting thing, which has probably been spoken to death, and that was our dear friends Apple.
Yeah, in fact, I think in the last episode, it was actually quite fun to watch. They were kind of like following the live blogs, but then
and
at the same time passing a bit of commentary on it. Now that the dust settled, it might be worthwhile us talking about that stuff just a little bit, and some of the finer details that have been revealed after the fact. But
well, I can report navigation on iOS 6 does not work in South Africa.
Does not work in South Africa. Well, I'm actually not surprised. We're probably going to be wave 3 or wave 4, a la the usual cycle of things.
Sometime in 2015.
Yeah, indeed. It's like, it's straight after Outer Mongolia gets its second map set.
No, as soon as they've got traffic in Upper Mongolia,
yes, yes, because the
traffic, the
yaks
Yetis
are in tailbacks.
The Yetis are hell on the N1.
Yeah. Pretty scary stuff. So I don't know about you guys, but I desperately want the new MacBook Pro with Retina. I don't care that the one I want is $3,300. I hear a good kidney cost fetches about $3,000 on the black market.
Just chip in the rest.
A kid, we're talking.
No, kidney.
Oh, a kidney. I thought you were going to sell one of the kids.
If you can sell the kid, you can get two kidneys out of it.
Yeah, you can keep your kidney.
Bad idea.
Keep your kidney and get two MacBooks.
Two MacBook Airs. In fact, I'll send Madonna an email right now. She's always in the market for African children. So.
But not good-looking blonde ones.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Got news for you. I saw some pictures over the weekend.
So, Brett, I mean, I agree with you. I really want one of them. But it's how do you say this? It's the first computer I've really wanted but hated at the same time.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at the iFixit breakdown of it, basically, they score computers on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the most repairable and 1 being not repairable at all. And the new MacBook Pro scores a 1. Okay, basically,
look,
there's
it's-
absolutely
yeah, no,
no
for sure.
way for
But
you to do
I must tell
anything
you
with this
something.
machine.
That is a trend that all machines are going in. I mean, who in their right mind takes a MacBook Air, no matter how much you can open it and fix stuff? Who opens it and fixes stuff?
No.
People,
The replacement cycle obviates the need, and generally the quality of Macs is 2-3 years, and by then they're obsolete anyway. So
I don't have a problem.
I don't think that's a big
Stephen,
big
I don't have a problem
criteria.
with most of the decisions they make. I don't even have a problem with them gluing the battery in, okay? Because you know what, it's if your battery breaks, they're probably just going to swap out your machine anyway. You know, they'll probably have a nice piece of software which you plug one Thunderbolt port into another Thunderbolt port, and you clone,
Go clone.
you clone, and the machine will just move across. Okay, what I have a problem with is the fact that the RAM is soldered onto the motherboard.
But in all the Airs and all the
But that
new
means-
computers there are too.
But an Air is a reasonably entry-level machine. We're talking about a machine which costs you $3,000
With 8 gig of RAM.
and
which you can't.
756
Okay,
gigabytes
but
of
which you
flash.
can't.
That is enough flash.
To keep you happy.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not worried about the flash.
I don't have
That's a
words.
decision.
That's
I can,
high-side
That's a
side. I
decision
don't
I
have
can
words.
live with.
There's a man who gets turned on by flash.
But you can't. You can't
needs its
upgrade.
own little trench coat
Yeah, yeah.
and little legs to walk itself to the park.
A little
That is how
Nikes.
much flash.
Boom, boom, boom.
But you can't upgrade the RAM once
Yeah.
you bought the machine, and that, you know,
I
even
think
if
for
there
the
was
vast majority of geeks, you're right. It probably is a limiting factor, but for the rest of us, or us, for the rest of humanity who are not geeks like us, it's probably less of
I
an
must
issue.
go with Ben here. The only two things that have ever disappointed me about my MacBook Air are the fact that I can't upgrade the memory on it, and the fact that I can't upgrade the memory on it. All right, and there I'm talking RAM, and there I'm talking disk. All right. It's interesting because Other World Computers, OWC, actually sell an upgrade kit for the Air.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very, very difficult to get it in there because it's not a traditionally sized. It's like a very long bank of chips on a specific board and stuff like that. And it's quite fiddly to get it out and replaced. But you can upgrade the drive space on an Air. With I think it's up to half a terabyte now. You can go up. It's a very expensive upgrade, but you can do it. But the memory, not at all. And Macs need upgradable memory. As a veteran of this ecosystem, as somebody that's been using this thing since Mac OS 10 started, all right, the problem with a Mac is every year you need to pretty much double the amount of RAM in it to keep up with what the operating system demands. Now take all the marketing crap and shove it aside. Honestly, right? Every single operating system iteration I've been through with Mac, Ben, you're probably the same with this. It gets quicker, it gets leaner, it does all of those kinds of things. But man, it needs more RAM. Somehow, 6 months into the process, you feel like you're dying and you need more memory.
yeah.
Those are the only two things, I must agree with you, that they needed to address with this product, and they haven't at all.
No,
Your
I just
stuff.
think there should have been a way. I mean, on the one hand, you're going, okay, this is them saying this is you're essentially buying a prototype. I mean, that's really what you're buying. You're buying a prototype of how how the next generation of MacBook Pros are going to
I
look.
think that's an excellent observation.
So
it is
imagine
actually a first shot at
Yeah.
it. This is how thin and how sexy, and this is what we
Yeah.
can do for the
This
future.
This is what the
If you
Air
spend-
was
Yeah.
originally. And
Remember
I really
the
hope
original
it's not
Air.
the first generation Air, because man, that thing was horrible.
Yeah. Well,
it
I
was
think-
visionary and it was crap at
Yeah.
the same time.
I think they know what they did wrong in the first generation of the Air. I think they produced a solid machine, a really solid machine, but
But it didn't have enough.
No,
of
the
anything.
first
Yeah, it
machine
didn't have
was
an-
really not
no,
great.
not the Air, the Retina. The Retina
okay,
MacBook
with the
Pro.
Retina. Okay,
It
yes.
looks like a solid machine. It looks like they haven't made any of the same mistakes. They've really just thrown the kitchen sink at this. But effectively, you're a beta tester, you know, and that's why they haven't discontinued. I mean, if Apple,
current 15s, yeah.
if Apple truly believed that this was the way forward, okay, that they would have said, you know what, this is your new MacBook Pro. It doesn't have an optical drive. It only has flash memory. Have a nice day. And
That's a fair point.
because Apple
But
have done it before and they'll do it again. And when they get the mixture right, you'll see it happen. They'll kill the optical drive. And the Retina MacBook Pro will be the only one you can buy. They'll just stop making the other ones. But the fact that that they've kept the other ones around tells you that they're not entirely sure that they've got the mixture right yet.
I think you've got a good point, and this new MacBook Air, or this new MacBook definitely shows where computers are going to go in the future. And I mean, with the release of the Retina display on the iPad 3 or iPad version 3, Gen 3, whatever you want to call it, suddenly you realize that the display market, which hadn't substantially changed for, 10 years? There'd been very little movement in the display market at all. All of a sudden got a serious kick up the butt saying, guys, we got the computing power. We can run massive density screens and run them well and run them for 10 hours. And the rest of you are still stuck on your old-fashioned screens. And they've done that to laptops too. So I think that's where we're going to see a huge step forward across the computing continuum in terms of quality of screens, the apps that run those screens, and everything to do with high resolution, high quality screens. And so from that perspective, that's a visionary project.
While you're touching on screens here for a sec, Calypso actually notes a very, very good point, and I read something on this week as well. That the new MacBook Pro actually doesn't run native resolution for that Retina display. It's running at 1920 by 1200.
Which is not native to the screen.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
The Retina display is, strictly speaking, pixel for pixel, capable of a lot more. So it's getting a lot of stuff from a brightness perspective and everything else, but apparently, like default, it's not running native.
That's interesting. And LCDs normally don't run that well when they're not run at native.
Well, see, this is the thing. I think that you do get a really nice boost. I mean, essentially, you're looking at a really, really big iPad.
But I haven't seen one in the flesh,
3.
and I'm sure when we finally see how gorgeous the screen actually is.
I wouldn't put too much money on the fact that we're actually going to get some units to play with in South Africa. This is a machine that is a lot more expensive
than anything they've done for a long time.
Produced in a really, really long time. I get worried. I feel that they're losing their way again. There was this time
where they didn't put a foot wrong.
Ben, chime in here, where Apple was in serious, serious trouble. They were making the most amazing hardware, but nobody would buy it because it was ridiculously expensive stuff.
Okay.
I see more and more SKUs creeping into that product line, where the simplicity of the Apple ecosystem was always something that you really shot for. I mean, that was their big advantage. But now there's like more and more SKUs.
But at the same time, they have
more derivatives.
I mean, look, they've killed the white MacBooks. There's an 11-inch and a 13-inch Air. There's 2 optical drive Pros. There's 1 prototype Pro. So that's only,
check. Let's evaluate. All right. Let's look 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
11-inch and 13-inch MacBook Air.
Yes.
All right.
13-inch,
15-inch, 17-inch Mac.
Pro.
Let's not talk about the specs in between, right? 2 versions of the iMac and a Mac Pro. That was it. All right. Look, 2 years before that, you had the white MacBook, which was a 13-inch.
Yeah.
You had the 13-inch MacBook. It was I don't even think it was called the Pro yet. The 15 and there wasn't even a 17-inch version of it.
And you had the 13-inch Air.
Right. And yes, so the 13-inch was a wild card, but nobody was buying it. You had two iMacs and 1 serious desktop, and nobody really talks about the servers. Now let's evaluate. All right. 11-inch Air. 13-inch Air, 13-inch MacBook Pro, 15-inch normal MacBook Pro, 17-inch MacBook Pro.
17-inch MacBook Pro is dead.
It's off.
They haven't officially announced that they've cancelled it. They just haven't said anything about it. Believe me, it's still around. Okay. Then you've got the 15-inch Retina.
Okay.
Then you've got three iMacs at the moment, 3 different sizes of iMacs. You've got a Mac Mini. You've got, and then the Mac Pro is still lurking somewhere in the background. Yeah. And then you've got 3 different versions of the iPhone. So there's, that's a lot of product.
Yeah.
Now you back that up a second and you look at how different those machines are. What made Apple beautiful in the notebook space was that they all looked exactly the same. All right. They used largely the same components all over again. What changed was the screen size and the processor. That was it. And the footprint maybe got a bit bigger.
But
now you're looking at a completely different Air architecture, so there's 11 and 13-inch Air in this one chassis. Then you've got the normal MacBook Pros in their chassis using a specific kind of screen, using a very, very different dual graphics card setup. Now you've got the 15-inch Retina using a completely different technology over there. I look at it and I go, wow, guys, this has gotten really, really complex. I used to walk into an Apple store and go, I want the 13-inch one, and somebody would give me that one, and I'd buy it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the issue is that the market is in flux at the moment. You're sitting in a situation where people are still selling a crap load of traditional PCs or laptops. Okay, the standard, boxy type machines, the things that you've been
ugly
buying,
ones.
the fugly ones that you've been buying for the last 20 years. They haven't really changed all that much. The basic design principles haven't changed that much over the last 20 years. You slap a few things into a box which is vaguely portable, and you flog it to some poor unsuspecting schmuck who pays $4,000 for it or $10,000 for it or whatever. Okay, now what we're seeing now, largely because of the push of Intel, but also because of the reaction to what Apple is doing, is that the high end of the market is moving very rapidly towards flash as the storage medium of choice.
Yeah.
In order to deliver speed and
Take some load off the processor,
responsiveness,
yeah, for sure.
better battery life, and all the kind of stuff that people actually want out of their machines. That's the high end of the market is moving that way. And at the same time, the portable end of the market is saying you're getting the ultrabooks moving in as well. So people are looking for speed and responsiveness, and they're getting it in two form factors. They're either getting it in a big chunky box type thing, which some people are shoving together, which is a piece of crap, or they're buying it in an ultrabook. Okay, and Intel are pushing the ultrabook. So we're in this transitions phase between the old way of building a computer, which had which had moving parts, essentially,
Yes. Yeah, sure.
and the new way of building a computer where there are no moving parts. Okay, and
in other words, they're tablets with keyboards.
Yes, and in that transition period, you're going to have you're going to have to cater to a larger group of people, and this is why I'm saying that the Retina MacBook Pro is essentially a prototype. It's a purchasable prototype because they don't know they've got a good guess. I mean, I think they're right, personally. I think they're right.
Ben, they're Apple. Not knowing has never been a problem for this company, all right? I will quote Steve Jobs in this. Like, you don't give people products they want. You don't go do market research.
No.
People don't actually know what they want. So, I mean, knowing what, they don't know
Apple's
what
market,
the future holds has never been a problem for this company. They've been able to hit the nail on the head time and time.
They seem to read the market before people even know
Apple's
what they're
version of
reading.
market research is build what you believe people want.
Yes.
And then they will want it. Okay. The point is that maybe the price points that they could hit on a Retina display, all flash machine, just weren't low enough to allow them to push it all the way down through the range.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe they need the volumes to ramp up as a result of the fact that they're going
I don't even have to speculate about that. There's no question that the flash memory and controllers they use, the construction systems they use, and certainly the cost of the Retina display definitely makes it a seriously high-end product.
They could have built it without the Retina display.
They could have skipped Retina display for this year.
Yeah. Or for the lower-end products. They could have had the high-end Retina display on the top of the range one, and for all the other ones, the normal PowerBook, MacBook Pro display. Okay, they could have done that quite easily and said, well, it's an all-flash machine. You can have it with a Retina display, or you can have it without. But I still think even with that, because of the flash and because they need to put a certain amount of flash into that machine, I think the cost would break their price points.
Yeah,
and that's why they're not doing it.
They couldn't do a new 15-inch with a MacBook Air construction at the price of the old 15-inch, even if they used the old screen.
And the fact is that the market is price sensitive. I mean, America's in a recession or close to it. The UK is in a recession. Europe's in deep crap. So do you want to suddenly push all your price points
up $100? And the East are not having fun either.
Yeah. Do you want to push all your price points up $100? And then suddenly people start deserting you. You have to keep meeting those expected price points, and they've actually pushed some of the price points down for the Airs.
Well, all the MacBooks and all the Airs went down in
immediately
price.
put out by the fact that I'm now using an entry-level machine. I don't like that. I'm not an entry-level
person. This is
person.
known as geek snobbery.
Yeah. But
absolutely.
The point is that there's any number of reasons why they have to have a slightly larger range at the moment than what they've had in the past. It's because the market itself is in transition. Okay? In a year's time, the price of flash you'll be able to buy a 768 gig flash drive in your MacBook Air for the price that you're paying now for 256 gig.
Well, you know the old story that the capacity of RAM, of flash RAM, doubles every year.
And, well, it's Moore's law.
Doubles every 9 months. It's not Moore's law, actually. It's slightly
Faster
different.
than Moore's
It's
law.
not the capacity doubles every 9 months, but the price halves every year.
Yeah.
So if you work that out, what you paid for 256 last year, this time you should get 512 for the same money.
Can I just say at the same time, this whole data explosion thing, and I'm going to segue us into this because I think it's kind of an interesting discussion, and in a quietish news week, let's actually have something that's a bit more analysis and chatty. But this whole data explosion, I don't for 1 second question that on a worldwide scale. I question where the data explosion lies, because here's the thing.
That's a really key point.
4 years ago, I needed a 350 or a 340 gig hard drive or better in the machine that I was using, because I had tons and tons and tons of stuff sitting on my machine, right? Then I downgraded to, I upgraded to an 11-inch MacBook Air with 128 gigs of flash, which was the biggest you could get at that point in time in South Africa. And that's where I really felt the pain. 128 was just too little. I mean, you remember this, Steve.
Yeah,
I struggled
absolutely.
with that, right? I've recently gone up to 256, all right, and there's no pain. Absolutely no pain. In fact, if I look now, I've got 50 gig free on this drive, and I haven't done any housekeeping in about 2-3 months, right? Since I got this machine, I haven't done any housekeeping. The difference is, if you look at what my storage usage worldwide is on drives that are out there somewhere in the ether and on home networks and stuff like that, I'm definitely using a lot more storage than what I was a year before, and a year before that, and a year before that.
So your overall storage needs haven't gone down.
No.
But your portable
my
device
cache,
needs.
My cache storage needs have increased.
No.
And here's the... decreased. So I have less data available on my person in this cache, so to speak, right? Localized storage, but I've got more and more out there in the cloud.
Well, that's
and I think that
absolutely a trend that we're seeing.
And I think this whole data explosion thing is not happening on notebooks. It's not happening on tablets. It's not happening on smartphones. Let me ask you a question. A couple of years ago, all right, this whole smartphone thing happened. What were the capacities inside smartphones
Between 1 and 4 gig.
Okay, and now?
And now they're between 16 and 32.
Okay. I've had a 16 and 32 gig storage inside my portable devices, my iPods, my iPhone, most of the Android tablets, most of the Android handsets that I've got are all rocking somewhere between 60, around the 8 to 16 gig mark. That hasn't changed a hell of a lot in the past couple of years.
No, it hasn't.
All right. But the amount of storage you're using out in the cloud has. The ability to get stuff off-site and into the cloud is that first little snapshot is a challenge. I mean, I've used overseas business trips to do that before, but I just think that there's not sufficient bandwidth in South Africa. Not about data. I mean, the data you can buy a once-off 100 gigs or 200 gigs worth of data and shunt stuff into the cloud. That's fine. It's the physical limitation of how wide that pipe is. That's
absolutely, and ADSL's upload facility is terrible.
It's absolutely.
I mean,
shocking.
It took me, I think, on a 640k 10 meg ADSL, I uploaded a huge chunk of my music to Google Music, and I mean, I left it running for days. Yeah. Literally days. I mean, you just sort of forgot about it, and it was uploading all the time, and everyone was moaning that the internet was super slow at home. Yeah, but it took days to upload that level of quantity of content. Those days hopefully are coming to an end, because LTE tonight disappointed, but it not being a commercial service, we couldn't moan. But I plug in an LTE stick, download 50 gigs worth of movies. DSTV might not be happy with me, but the fact is, it took 25-30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I mean, once you're on that level of internet, your whole universe changes.
I know we keep on saying this on this podcast. It's got to be a business model. But why is nobody figuring this out? Why, somebody needs to be monetizing the content that, guess what, everybody's grabbing down off the internet anyway, right? Let the studios monetize it. I mean, hell, it's their content. They deserve to monetize it. Go for it, guys. download the stuff off of the net, pay us some money. Here's a subscription model. All right, it's working in the States. All right, every single one of those major studios. All right, at least in the television realm, not so much in the movie. Not the movie studios, but the HBOs and all of these guys have got applications for iPad. If you've got a subscription, there you go. There's the content. View it as many times as you want. Do with it what you want. It's a very, very different world, and somebody's got to start doing it in South Africa, because I think when you start bundling the value proposition of the connectivity with the content and everything else, then it starts going, well, I'm spending X here and Y there and da-da-da-da. Let me pool all that money, and suddenly it becomes, I can go, wow, I can now afford this, where I never thought I did before.
There is huge fragmentation in the whole services industry. I mean, and the most logical player who tried and lost a ton of our taxpayers' money, that being Telkom, with their Telkom Media, they were perfectly placed to deliver that whole converged vision that you were just telling us about. And they didn't. And they've now backed firmly away from it, though they are talking LTE and broadband and all the good. They're making the right noises, but they're not delivering the services.
They've been making the right noises
for years,
so
no doubt.
long.
No doubt.
And it's like,
no
you know
doubt.
what, the thing is, somebody's got a history of disappointing you.
You don't go back for more.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of those things.
There's only really realistically one player who can do this properly.
And that's
MultiChoice. And I mean, I have this this is my Martin Luther King moment where I go, I have a dream. and it starts very simple. At the moment, it starts with them giving me an HD PVR, which I can stream video over my wireless network. So I can sit in bed with my iPad on an application. They built the application. The application exists already. It's called DSTV Mobile. It's just a higher res version of DSTV Mobile. So the basics are built already. The authentication is there already. The security is there already. All they have to do is just tweak it to make it work so it runs at Retina display quality, or even HD quality, slightly below HD quality, iPad screen quality.
Hell, if it ran at HD PVR
720p,
that'd be good enough for me, because most of the content I'm downloading
across my home
iPads
network. So I can sit there and actually navigate the interface for my PVR from an iPad application. I can watch what's on my hard drive if I'm lying in bed, or if I'm on another TV, if I'm on my computer sitting in my desk. I can access that content anywhere in my house. And that's the first step. The second step is you start plugging stuff into the back of it. You plug a network port into the back of it. You've got DSTV on demand already. Okay,
the network port exists.
They're already providing this content on the web anyway to their customers. Now all you have to do is expose that to your HD PVR, okay, and start providing those services. Now suddenly you've got the opportunity to create a limitless library of movies. Okay, essentially what Netflix are doing in the States, TV shows, movies, all that stuff, then paying your $650 to DSTV every month is suddenly, I say, I'm more than happy to pay that, because look at all the cool services I get from them.
Can I just chime in and completely agree with you on one point, and just kind of actually throw a challenge down at these guys? Generally what happens is they kind of go, the security is such a concern. The security. It's people's property we're talking about. Somebody owns that content and everything else. Guys, let me introduce you to the banking sector. Right now in the banking sector, using my iDevice, using my iPad, using a smartphone, I can pay somebody sitting across me. I can move money electronically between two devices.
And that's the ultimate in ownership issues.
And we're talking about money here, all right? This is like lifeblood. This is the most important thing in a lot of people's lives, all right? I can bank from that. That platform has not yet been compromised. Why not start using tablets and like hardware that's, security capabilities that are built into the hardware right now of tablets and smartphones? They're there.
Though, you know what? I think I must just give a little reality check here. A lot of people find this level of integration and tech and all the stuff necessary to make it happen and to make it work hugely intimidating. So it hasn't become fully commoditized yet in the general populace. Most people, all right, they say 60% of video consumption in the US is on demand over the internet.
Yeah.
But they've had
10% of it's paid for.
Well, whatever the case, let's not get into that model. But the fact is, a huge chunk of it is is part of an infrastructure that's been in existence and a usage model that's existed for years.
Yeah.
They're used to it. They know what they're doing with it. It exists in every way, form, or shape that they need there. We don't have that here. And we're not going to have that here for years. And I don't think people are technologically adept enough or experienced enough to really get into this. However, now can I segue this into another whole discussion that's coming later today? I mean, I thought the Microsoft announcement was at 10 o'clock in the morning. At 6 at night, LA time.
Yep.
So we'll all be firmly in bed on our iPads watching the announcement, I'm
just
sure.
Watched Spain victorious again.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's not get into let's get not too football-y. It's been quite fun, the football so far.
For sure.
But they are one of the few companies that have got enough resources and enough foothold in the living rooms of most of us to actually pull this all together in a meaningful way. I mean, the new Xbox Glass project, the ability to use your iPad to control your Xbox. Note, Apple
can't taste great to Apple right now,
iPad running an Xbox, which is getting more and more metro, which sounds quite interesting, but more and more able to the services that are being delivered, movies, music, video, all sorts of stuff being delivered, internet browser coming to your Xbox. Suddenly your TV is no longer just this dumb thing that gets stuff fed to it. Becomes fully interactive, and then throw in this Connect and Connect 2.
So what I'm going to do,
Suddenly
I'm going to
we've
stop
got
you
a
right
whole
there.
new world
I'm
coming.
going to stop you right there because it's probably a really, really great time to talk about our new sponsor. That's the new interactive Sharp LED. So Sharp's back in South Africa with a really, really fantastic product. I don't know whether you guys have played with it at all.
No. Sharp haven't contacted me yet.
Go to sharpinteractive.co.za and just see what this thing can do. It's pretty exciting stuff. I had the opportunity to see one recently and tinker around with it a little bit. And so essentially what it is, all right, I'm a very visual person. When I'm in a meeting, I like to use whiteboards and draw pictures and stuff like that.
Wave your hands around.
Yes, there's that too. That's why I get so much Nike fuel. But I like to draw. Often I'm talking too quickly for people to kind of follow. So it kind of makes sense if I draw stuff. But then at the same time, I'm often showing them stuff on my screen. A whole bunch of people huddle around my screen, and the two don't marry really, really well. So the Sharp LED is a great solution to that problem. It's essentially a interactive whiteboard that has a computer inside it. And this is a gigantic LED screen. Right, you can do video conferencing calls with it. You can do all kinds of interesting stuff with it. Probably the best context I've seen for it is a friend of mine is a lawyer, and so lawyers
do what lawyers do.
Well, they
extract money.
They do two things really, really well. They generally have lots of money really, really well. That's the one thing they do. But then at the same time is they're also generally quite scared of tech. Have you noticed? Lawyers are very, very scared of tech.
They're actually quite conservative people at heart.
So he's out on the periphery there in that he really enjoys technology, and he's like all other lawyers that have lots of money. So they went and got one of these devices way before it got released in South Africa, and they started playing around with it, and nobody bats an eyelid. Of course they go, it's a great toy, and we need one of these in our boardroom and everything else. But here's a bunch of lawyers that are usually quite technophobic in nature, using this device absolutely perfectly. They're pulling up agreements, drawing on them, etc., etc. But also at the same time, while you're using the whiteboard, it records everything. So
that's
a
really
useful. You kind of whip out your
absolutely.
smartphone and you're taking
photos.
photos. All right, you don't need to do that either. You can mail it around to everybody afterwards. I really think it's a fantastic device. I think it's got a great place in the market, and for more information, check it out at sharpinteractive.co.za. There's a bunch of videos there and stuff like that. Steve, really, get some time to play with it.
I will. I was really
impressed. I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. I think it's a really, really good device. And I
must tell you, every CS we've been to, you go to the Sharp stand, they have an
stuff,
unbelievable handle on LCD technology. Their stuff is cutting edge, brilliant to look at, well priced, and it was always a disappointment that level of quality wasn't available in this country. So I'm really, really pleased to see that they're back and they got some cool, new, interesting stuff.
Sure. I mean, so to echo that, Sharp has made really, really awesome stuff. I mean, the Sharp Aquos display. It's like mind-blowing.
Amazing.
Right? It's been so sad that they haven't been in South Africa in a meaningful way for a really, really long time. It's really nice to have that back because I think it's that kind of technology. That's the kind of screen I want on my wall. It's like an Aquos. It's amazing.
70-inch.
So
None of these little
so
50 inches anymore.
You're the audio file, I'm the video file.
Well, I'm a bit of an audio-video file, so
I want to quickly jump us back into that conversation. I had a question for you, all right? How many people that own iPads in South Africa don't have DSTV?
It's an interesting one, and I would venture...
I mean, you'd have to take a thumbs up.
I would venture
0%.
It's probably close to 99%.
So 99% of them have DSTV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
It's a no-brainer for what we were talking about earlier.
Last little dig. All right. Last little dig. All right. How many iPads had F&B sold?
They've sold about 45,000. Well,
they're over 50,000 now. The last number
where
they
did
gave.
you pick up
50,000.
that figure?
They gave, it was about 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
They released
okay.
the number about 50. They
Yes,
did
so knock,
over 50,000. They'd broken the 50,000 level.
Wow.
Knock some more on for some like non-FNB channels. How many iPads would you say in total?
It's probably
are in South Africa?
300,000 to 350,000
Watch, I'm going to pull out
iPads.
my calculator here. I'm going to
Okay.
go 350,000. Okay. How much does DSTV dual view cost? I really hope these guys are listening because I'm
65
building on the
bucks.
business model. Okay, watch.
65 bucks.
65. Okay, let's lop some zeros off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 22.7 million rands worth of revenue. I would venture that everybody with an iPad that also owns DSTV at home.
Well, you've seen
would
their
pay
little
50
plug-in
rand.
for the iPhone.
Yes,
their
but what
little
I'm saying
tuner
is
that
now
plugs
give
in.
me- Now give me on-demand video. I'll pay for the bandwidth because guess what? I've got a 3G card in there, or I've got a DSL connection at home because most of these people do. All right, and guess
No,
what? I'll
what's
give you
interesting, most of them don't
22.7
have a
million
DSL
rand. No, but I'll give you
connection at home.
22.7 million rands worth of more revenue if you just charge everybody with an iPad
65 bucks.
65 bucks a month.
Yeah.
Cheaper than DualView. I think that
No,
there's a
that's-
business model right
That's
there.
a brilliant business model. And it's a logical business model. It's something they've got the content. They've got a viewing public that are out there that would be actually quite keen to play with that content. As long as it was a slick, easy-to-use interface where it doesn't have to be downloaded,
You know
and
what?
stored.
I don't mind. I will check a piece of content out of the server for like a maximum of 2 days, like with Box Office. It can be cached on my iPad for like 2 days. I'll watch it on my iPad. If I haven't watched it within that period, it magically disintegrates and disappears off my iPad. Fantastic. Absolutely
So
no
you
problem.
download it
You know what?
again.
We have 2 iPads in our house. All right, I'd pay 65 Rand for my iPad to have my content when I want it on my iPad.
So that you wouldn't have to be
I'm
tied to
sure
the one
Kerry-
big screen.
I'm sure my wife Kerry would do exactly the same thing. She'd pay 65 bucks to be able to do the same.
No,
There you
great
go.
business
You guys
model.
can use it. The DSTV, please run off and create this thing. All right, I will be your first customer. I'll give you 65.
Give
Rand
Brett a
month.
call and ask him for a 65 bucks so it can work.
Anyway.
But that is coming. I mean, at some stage soon, that is coming. There's no question that type of service will come from someone. And as we were talking earlier, if Windows 8 coming on a tablet, coming on a phone, coming on a desktop, coming on your Xbox, starts integrating all that content seamlessly across all those platforms with one login, with one app written for everything that runs on all those platforms at any point in time. I mean, the vision of watching a TV on your big screen, swiping it onto your tablet, walking out of the house, sitting in the car on the way to Durban, wherever, and then carrying on watching it on your little iPhone or iPad or whatever it is thereafter, it's not that far away.
People will pay for content. They just won't pay for the distribution mechanism. So the key is, in my opinion, you remember the days when the cell phone operators were like heavy into ringtones and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
trying to sell you music and all of that kind of stuff electronically. They're still doing quite a bit of that. All right.
And that's still a big business
But what
model.
happened is you'd pay X amount for that track or that ringtone or that whatever, and don't worry, we'll deliver it to you for free. And remember how that absolutely skyrocketed because people were just going, I just pay for the content and I don't have to worry about the data bill that comes at the end of the month. So you know what? Build it in and be done. People will pay big money for the content.
Well, I think we're
because
starting to reach that.
people are
The
buying
broadband
4, 5, 6
environment's going to
CDs a
allow it.
month, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just tell them to roll all of the money that you're spending on content together into one big pile. Take the bandwidth and the.
Well, there is a
and the
company who
infrastructure.
does that. and that's called Apple right now.
for sure.
Pretty not in South Africa. Though you had some inside info. Apple made another little announcement that got a bit buried. 37 countries are going to get iTunes at the end of June.
Well, you see, so I made this like prediction.
Sure that
37
wasn't the App Store.
No, 37 countries were going to get iTunes.
I didn't actually want to bring that up because I don't know whether Andy Hadfield listens to our podcast when he's not on it. But I took this bet with him and I said to him, look, I have it
How
on
many
pretty
bottles
good
of wine?
authority. It was a very, very expensive bottle of Thelema.
Great. Great. We'll enjoy it here.
I took a bet with him and I said to him by year end. I was being conservative.
Well, I hope you are, because I must tell you, a mate of mine bought an Apple TV. He bought it in America. He came home, stuck it onto his 4 meg ADSL line. He's the happiest chappie in the whole universe. He's watching all this product. Look, he doesn't worry too much about money. And he's got a US credit card. So he's a happy man. He can watch anything.
Well,
and
I can too, and I don't have a US credit card, but I got money in the iTunes store. So
well, let's not discuss those illegal things right here and now on broadcast.
Please,
but
man.
Look, the fact
Google.
is,
Go. Look.
the fact is, it can do it. And he's a geeky guy. He's a technically adept fellow. He was playing with VPNs and all that havoc. He says this Apple thing makes his life immeasurably easier. He sits down, he browses through iTunes, finds what he wants, pushes play, goes up to make a cup of coffee, comes back, and it's streaming on 4 meg ADSL, which is really fascinating.
I'll tell you what's going to beat that up, though.
What's going to beat that up?
My second prediction, my part 2 of that was that the Zune store would be here before the end of the year too, with video too.
Well, maybe that's part of this big announcement tonight with Microsoft.
I'm very, very happy to pay $14
$14
a month, unlimited music. I'll do that.
Oh, I agree. 100% agree. I mean, the same as I use Spotify now and use a VPN to
It's a bit expensive on your mobile phone, though.
It does.
So that's why you need local.
But even when you're sitting at the desk and you're just playing with Spotify and you have to use a VPN, a VPN every now and then just to tell you that you're back in England.
Yeah, every 14 days.
Every 14 days. But it's an amazing service. And imagine if you could just buy all that music and have all that music and stream it whenever you wanted. So I think there is a revolution in content coming. But somehow South Africans, the average South African, is not ready for it yet. There's a maturity cycle that hasn't hit. And we predict that somewhere around about 2015, it's going to hit in a big way. There'll be 12 to 14 million people on the internet. 6 to 8 of those will have been on for 5 years. And you imagine 6 to 8 million makes a market. 3 million maybe. But 6 to 8 starts becoming a significant market. It's twice the size of New Zealand. And they got iTunes.
But what I will say as well is I'm going to disagree with you and then we're going to kill it. And I'm going to disagree with you very, very quickly.
Okay.
I think up until this point, all right, the reason this hasn't taken off is because it's been too technically difficult thing to achieve.
So
we've had to
you're not
hack around the
disagreeing,
problem.
you're agreeing.
We have to
I
hack
said
around
that.
the problem. No.
Yeah.
But I think the time is really right now.
Oh, you reckon it's now?
Okay, because people have got iPads in their hands.
True.
All right, I've seen people do stuff with iPads that they were very scared to do with PCs, but the iPad somehow makes it a very, very easy thing to do stuff on. It's like it's easy.
Well, I've got to quote an anecdote. A really technical guy said to me, he said, you know what? He says, the first time in my life, when I got an iPad, I asked the guy, where's the instruction manual? And he said, what instruction manual? There's no instruction manual. And he was quite pissed because he's an anal sort of guy, likes instruction manuals. He says he got home and guess what? He didn't need an instruction manual. He says he bought himself a Motorola Zoom. He says he opened the instruction manual. He says he still hasn't got it.
Yeah.
And that's the genius of iPad.
It's easy. It's like you want to do stuff. There's this thing called the App Store. Go tell the App Store what you want it to do. It'll tell you some apps. You download the apps. You click on the icons for the apps, and then what they look like, you do stuff in. All right. Everybody knows how to operate a TV.
Absolutely.
Okay, so download the DSTV application, the one that's going to give you for $65 a month as much
unlimited
video as
access
what you can
to
eat in
whatever you
720p. Right? Click on the stuff that you want to watch it. I mean, that is why I think it's different, dude. I think I hear what you're saying in terms of mass market, but I think the market's big enough today as a result of the number of devices in the market for that to be a compelling enough solution now. That's a lot of money, 22.7 bar. We're not even counting the people with iPhones. We're not counting the people that have got Android tablets in the market. It's big. Someone's got to do something, please.
I'm with you, Brettski. Let's do that.
Okay, fantastic.
One
Tomorrow,
disagree.
coffee. We're going to plot this stuff out.
We'll plot it out.
Domination is soon. Okay, picks of the week. Mr. Kelly, I'm going to wake you up there because shame. Mr. Ambrose and I went off on a tangent here.
When I saw that you and Stephen were going to be on the podcast tonight, I knew I wasn't going to get much of a voice.
I'm sorry.
I think in edgewise.
But Bender's the best picks of the week, and I totally want to hear what yours is.
Sorry.
You said you'd cook something fantastic up for us today.
I'm afraid I'm not on real form today.
Okay.
But the one thing about the Apple App Store is that you have to keep your eyes open. Because every now and then you can pick up really, really great deals. Like there was a game that I picked last time, I picked Tabletop, the podcast last time.
That's right.
And they did one of the ones they did was Ticket to Ride. Okay, and you can download the Ticket to Ride app from the App Store, and I don't know if it is still free, but it's
for iPad and iPhone?
No, there's an iPhone version and there's an iPad version which costs about $7. So, but the thing is that the iPhone version, even blown up double size, is perfectly okay to play on the iPad
because it's free.
And because it's a board game essentially. It's really okay to play on the thing. The other game is Real Racing HD, which is at the moment is only $2 in the App Store, and I think it normally costs about $7 or $8.
And of course, you're talking about the US App Store.
No, the Kenyan App Store.
Kenyan App Store.
The App Store that everybody should be using
until the end of June. At which point,
in which case we can switch on.
The world will have.
We can switch our country back to South Africa then.
Okay. So Bargain Basement Ben recommends 2 games this week. One for free.
And
one for $2.
Yeah, and then of course if you are not playing Jetpack Joyride.
Jetpack Joyride.
Yes, you should have, because it's free as well. And they've been upgrading it. Okay. They had a really big update about a month ago where they brought in little gadgets. There's a little dog which comes along with you, and it just adds a whole another level of personality to the game. It's a whole lot of fun.
Personality
and it's also
to a game.
And it's also free. And it's free. Yeah, it's completely free.
Okay, cool.
So, I mean, if you're not buying it now, if you haven't got Jetpack Joyride, I mean, anybody says, what should I get for my iPad? And it's like they say, first thing you do is download Jetpack Joyride because it's free and it's awesome, and you can just spend hours and hours playing it. And then there's all these other ones which you can pick up for free or for very little money. And if you keep your eyes open, there's always stuff which is on discount or free for a limited amount of time, and you grab it when it's free, and then you get all the upgrades going forward.
There's a fantastic app called App Shopper that allows you to do that. That does a whole bunch of tracking of what's happening in the App Store. And the moment things are on special, it lets you know. Very, very rare. It's like a guide to the App Store.
I just want to throw in one other thing, which isn't really a pick of the week, but it's something that I've noticed, and I just thought I'd throw it in while I'm here. Is with Celsi changing their contracts and their prepaid stuff for the 99 cents and stuff like that, I've seen something from a number of people, maybe a little bit more tech savvy or business savvy or finance savvy people, but still not from uber geeks, which I haven't seen ever before in my entire life as a cell phone user. People wanting to cancel their contracts,
go to prepaid
to move to Celsi.
But also prepaid, man. Have you seen how many people have kind of gone, you know what, the prepaid price is so damn good, I'm switching to prepaid.
But people willing to take the hit of cancelling an existing contract.
That's quite big. All right.
Okay, which is like sell your firstborn child.
And paying in
the money because it's actually worth their while. They've done the maths, and it's worth their while moving to Celsi and paying in the extra money to cancel the existing contract. And
good on you, Alan, not Craig.
I've never seen that before, ever. I've thought about cancelling my contract before, and when they tell you the number, you have to be sitting down because else you'll collapse.
Well, I must tell you, personally, I've thought about it seriously, cancelling all my contracts and moving across to something like Celsi. I'm just giving it a month or two for the other guys to respond in kind. I hope they do.
I think they've got to.
I think they have.
My thing is that my message to Vodacom, who are my current service provider, is you have until the big end of the year to get your shit together.
End of the year, I give him another month or two.
That's when my contract kind of ends.
Well, I was going to say,
okay.
for sure.
So-
I'm out of contract,
As
guys.
much
Just
as
warning
Ben,
you.
as much as Cell sees Greengrass is calling Ben Kelly, he's way too financially savvy to buy himself out of his contract.
His golden handshake.
I couldn't
His
part with
golden
that kind of
handcuffs
cash.
are on.
my golden handcuffs.
Your red handcuffs.
Yes, my red handcuffs. So and just the simple way they've structured the new contracts. The fact is that you can mix and match data and SMS and voice. I want 100. I don't want 400 minutes. I want 100 minutes of voice. I want 100 SMSs, and I want a crap load of data, as much as I can get for 500 rand a month. In that configuration. And I can bet you
clever.
it's more than but my bottom dollar, it's more than the 500 meg I'm getting from Vodacom at the moment.
Okay.
So it's not really a pick, but it's something I just wanted to throw out there.
All right, Stephen, quick
Okay,
pick.
quick.
Go.
Quick pick is something that's very geeky. It's called Intel Ivy Bridge for laptops.
Yes.
Okay, we didn't talk about it. It was actually announced last week.
Yes, I actually did a radio segment on
Yeah.
it this weekend, so interesting topic.
Big topic. All the new laptops coming from now are using the third generation Intel chip.
Ask for Ivy Bridge or
And
ask for
ask-
third generation core architecture.
Yeah, so buyers beware. They're going to be dumping a lot of the slightly older. Nothing wrong with the older generation as long as the price is right.
Yes, for sure.
But if you're paying top dollar for a new laptop, anything over close to 10,000 Rand and above,
Yeah.
insist on Ivy Bridge.
Yeah, for
because those, it's much better video, much better processing, makes a huge difference to the battery power.
What's
it's a
your
great
favorite
pick.
feature?
My favorite feature is battery life.
Okay.
That's it.
Can I
And
tell you what's
transcoding
the
video.
Yeah, I know, for sure. The high-speed video sharing.
Yeah.
The bit that absolutely slays me about it, that I absolutely love, is this technology that wakes your machine but doesn't wake it.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm
of
saying?
course,
So
yes.
what it does is it downloads mail, updates
In
your
the
social
background.
networks, and does all of that kind of stuff while in sleep mode. Very little battery hit. One of my biggest bugbears is if I have like a half-day session with a client or something like that, and I'm off-site, somewhere where there isn't cell coverage or whatever the case is, or I have my machine closed for a couple of hours, right? It's not so much the like massive amount of email I get when that happens, right? The bit that really irritates me is the wait for that email to download.
Yeah, the time it takes.
Right, the fact that it's going to be there when I switch my machine on, for me,
Well,
is
you
a
see,
serious win.
what's interesting, and I mean, last little pick and hint on that. When you look at the new Windows 8, you look at the new version of Mac OS, which I'm running the beta of now, Mountain Lion, they're all behaving more and more like phones. When you pick them up and you switch them on, everything's there. Imagine if you had, every time you switched your phone on, wait for everything to download.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. The phone's always on, it's polling, it's getting the information, it's updating, and you take that for granted. All of a sudden, laptops are starting to behave that way.
I think certain people have got it right, other people don't.
No
I'm probably
question.
going to have to go wash my mouth out after this. All right, I think Microsoft's getting it right.
Microsoft are getting it
I
right.
think Apple's not.
Well, the new version, I haven't tried it yet, but on their new hardware, their new Ivy Bridge hardware, which uses
Yeah.
that feature,
Yes.
that feature is now built into Mountain Lion.
No, well, it'll actually roll back to this generation as well. It rolls
As
back
long
to
as it's a-
Sandy. It
As
rolls
long
back
as
to
it's a
Sandy.
flash drive,
Yeah,
flash
but,
based
but,
machine.
but
Yeah.
no, but I'm saying interface-wise, I think they're not getting
Oh
it
no,
right.
maybe.
So let's see.
Let's wait and see what finally transpires from the two of them. But I'm running both on my MacBook Air right now, and I must tell you, I'm a big fan of Windows 8.
No,
It's smooth and
I
it's
think
slick.
I think it's got legs. So mine, I'm gonna pick two picks this week. The one is the FIFA Euro application. I know it's a little bit late into the process, but really nice polish. Absolutely love this. It's simple. It's easy to use. It just gets stuff done. You've got live updating. You've got news. Everything else. I'm a fan
That's
of having
pretty
little
cool, yeah.
apps. So, and it's free in the App Store. So why not go and grab it and download it? The other one that I want to talk about, because I've been playing around with Android a lot more, obviously because we're doing some apps for the Android space and that kind of thing, is I've been a big fan of an application called Air Video. which essentially what AirVideo does on a, in the Apple ecosystem. So you can have a PC or a Mac as the server.
Yeah.
You stick a piece of software on that, and then you download AirVideo. It costs a couple of bucks for like an ad-free or a professional version. But it only works on iOS devices. Only works on iPad or iPhone. And you get to transcode and sling your content over a wireless network in your home. Now, I'll tell you one better. So one of the things that's been missing is the Android functionality. And there's an application called Emit, E-M-I-T. It does exactly the same thing, but it does it for both iOS and Android devices.
Okay.
Same story. You load a little piece of software on the PC or the Mac. Right? It then does the transcoding locally there, but then it'll sling to both Android and iOS devices in your home.
That is really
There's
useful.
a free version of it that has ads, but it's quite a clever little ad model, and it's something that we might look at some stage. So it'll show you the ad overlaid over your video in the one corner. If you click on the ad goes away. So it navigates to a web page, you look at the ad. For every ad you click on and you look at the web page, it gives you a free ad-free view inside the application, which is actually genius, right? And you can bank them up. So what you can do is you can go look at ads if you're bored for like 10 minutes, right? And bank up like 20, 30 ad-free views. And the next 20, 30 views are videos. Ad-free. The ad doesn't pop up. So very, very clever.
That's very clever.
So the two apps, the one is called Emit, E-M-I-T. Great for Android and iPhone users or iOS users. I'm trying to stay like with a foot in each camp at the moment because we're testing code on both of these platforms. And the other is Euro 2012, the application. Those are both available on iPhone, Android.
If you have a multi-denominational household, it's really useful.
Indeed. So there you go. Thanks for joining us, guys.
It's been, apart from all the technical hitches,
Yes,
it's been fun as usual.
I really do hope we manage to stitch everything back together again and turn some semblance of order in terms of video and audio back together.
I think our listeners will forgive us the glitchiness and some of the breaks and the oddities.
Indeed. It's my first episode back after a couple of weeks sabbatical, so
there you go.
I hope
practice doesn't make perfect.
The roughness of the of the episode didn't upset anyone. But thank you, Mr. Stephen Ambrose from Strategy Works at Ambio on Twitter.
That's me.
Let's get those follower numbers up.
Absolutely, I want to crack 10,000.
Jeez, I'd also like to crack 10,000.
Well, I'm shooting for the stars.
Close.
No, me neither. Anyway. But let's go for it.
Hey, 2,000 would be a nice start for me. And Mr. Benedict Kelly, Chief Whip at ungeeked.co.za. At Benedict Kelly on Twitter.
You get the numbers up, we can crack 1,500.
We must just follow Friday, each other this Friday. And
good idea.
I'm sure it'll be fun. And me, I'm Brett Haggard from Hypertext Media. You can catch me at Brettski on Twitter. Thanks for joining us. Episode 214 for Monday, the 18th of June, 2012. Take care. The ZA Tech Show is made possible by Sharp. Check out the new interactive Sharp LED at www.sharpinteractive.co.za.